Many are wondering if everything is so great, why can't I make ends meet? You came here for the truth. I'm going to look into several issues today, the first being food insecurity. The next, we'll talk about social insecurity, and I have so much more prepared. Food banks across the state, is talking about, of course, California, reported sustained higher demand, in some cases 2 to 3 times what it was before 2020. Not only is there an acute need still from the last year, but it's going to last a long time. We know from the Great Recession that it took a full decade for food insecurity to come back to pre-2008 levels. We have so many people right now. This is Thanksgiving time frame. This is when people are with their families and they are going into this holiday season, and people are experiencing hardship. At the same time, you have this great disparity where individuals out there are making more money than ever. And that's always the case. There's always going to be some that have more than you. That's understood. But we are actually on many different metrics worse than what we saw during the Roaring 20s. This is not supposed to happen because historically, if you look just a few years ago, looking back to the Roaring 20s, we were saying, oh my goodness, this is crazy. How did they ever let it get like this? And even with the dot-com bubble, oh, can you believe it? Look at that indicator, PE ratios and price to sales and all these different things. But yet we got there. We got there and went beyond there. Holiday shopping hell, workers brace for unruly customers and labor strikes. The whole employment situation is a mess today, and we also have to understand how manipulated the statistics are. But we know there are many issues. A lot of people more recently have rejected what they have been forced on them, and so many have decided to stay out of the workforce. Holiday retail sales are expected to increase up to a record 10.5%, despite supply chain issues and employee shortages. So some people out there, like I said, have more money than ever before. And so they're spending. They're going Black Friday shopping. Others simply delayed a lot of their purchases and, by different means. And they're waiting for those sales. And this is all around this time relevant to today. Another, really a level to this is what's happening with Social Security and other social assistance programs. This is talking about Social Security specifically and why, quite frankly, it's bankrupt. The program's payouts have exceeded revenue since 2010. But the recent past is nowhere near as grim as the future. According to the latest annual report by Social Security's trustees, the gap between the promised benefits and the future payroll tax revenue has reached a staggering 59.8 trillion. That gap is 6.8 trillion larger than it was just 1 year earlier. So we've got serious issues, and I'm sure a lot of the places around the world have somewhat of the same situation. This is not sustainable long term. You can't do this forever. There is a time in which people will realize that this Social Security system was gone long ago. All of these safety nets are really just a figment of our imagination because they aren't doing much to protect the people, especially those in the future. They're not keeping up, even though they're going to increase the cost of living adjustment. They're going to run that higher. It's not keeping up with the inflation. We all know that. And if you agree with me, hit that thumbs up button. Do you believe that what's happening today is completely out of whack? Support this channel simply by clicking that thumbs up button. Higher and higher. Used truck price inflation shows no signs of abating. This is unbelievable. We're talking about things that 2 years ago, nobody would have ever even considered this. But here you are. Class 8 used US used truck average age going up considerably. And of course, this had been declining. If you take that back all the way, I mean, where do you want to start? But of course, since the early 2020, it has been going higher. Peaking out in 2018, we had some serious problems in 2018 that many refused to acknowledge. Those were declining. People didn't want them. And of course, you had this peak coming here, which is around 2015 or so. And so we see the directionality. And right now, who knows where this is going to stop? We really don't know. It's just crazy to see something like a used truck, whether it's a Class 8, one of the big boys, or whether it's your typical pickup truck, or even just a regular vehicle. Everything seems to be going higher. Speaking of going higher, we're talking about power prices. German power prices specifically. Take a look at this. Going up to levels that, quite frankly, are unsustainable, and many people are going to be burdened. Now, Germany is doing a lot better than many other countries in Europe, but there's always a group of people that are hurt and are burdened by higher prices on energy and, of course, food. So this all connects in together. Now, I believe I have the next chart right here showing you the heating degree days. Now, many people would say, it's winter time. It's coming into winter time. This is when it's normal. It's normal for all the temperatures to drop and so on. Yes, it is. But you could see the 30-year normal being this green line. Okay, take a look at that. And then you could see what the estimates are and what's happened here. The latest, this is actually the latest ECMWF operational, coming in right around there. Much, much higher than the 30-year average. What does that mean? Why are you talking about this GPS? Stop it. That means more demand for heating. All right, now maybe they're using coal, maybe they're using solar, maybe they're using wind, maybe they're using hydro or any other form of energy. The point is that they need more of it. Historically, at a time when inventories are low, stockpiles are low, this is not a good thing. It's a recipe for disaster, a perfect storm. Use whatever terminology you want. Now you have something else that's been happening, and that is nickel. Nickel, along with, and I have that chart in just a second, other industrial commodities are rising, continuing to rise. In fact, you can see that with the black line. That's the nickel price. At the same time, of course, inventories have been falling. Here it is, Bloomberg's Industrial Metals Index going higher than what we saw back in 2008 and 2011. So here we have this at a time in which prices have been rising. Things have kind of been going all over the place in terms of, lumber. It went to a record high of 1,700, came down to 450. And now the last time I checked, it was somewhere in that range of around 800. But you can see what has been happening with industrial metals. In general, they've been going up, up, and up, and up. Now, what does that mean? It means the things that you have to buy that require those metals, just about everything, are going to be more expensive. So, of course, for a certain group of people, unfortunately, they can't buy it. They can't buy it, okay? But I want to talk about this and also specifically with the food insecurity. If you're still here right now, I want to thank you for that. I'm going to talk about what you can do, solutions. I forgot to mention at the beginning, some solutions for people. And in fact, let's get into it right now. Number one, the most obvious thing that you can do is buy in bulk, as big bulk as you can, and split that with your friends, with your family, with your coworkers to deal with the food situation. Number two, if you are able to, look around, get the food distributors' numbers and emails and websites, look them up. Contact them. Tell them you want to buy some food. What kind of prices can you get? Yes, you got to buy in bigger quantities, but again, split that. Also, you can go to where the food comes in, the food terminals. These food terminals are everywhere, and in many cases, you can buy, I wouldn't say a small amount, but you can buy the case of stuff, and you can get these things at much cheaper prices than you would buy at the store. So seek those out as well. Many restaurants today, they need workers desperately, and sometimes desperate measures call for some seriously desperate actions, and so that might require a second job, sometimes a third job, sometimes. I know I've been through it. And what you can do, if you can, to work out a deal, say, hey, I know you need work. I saw the sign in the window. I just need a little bit of some pocket money. I need a little bit of this and that. Just tell them what you're dealing with, and I'm sure they're going to be reasonable because they're in this situation. You can, of course, approach them. Look for the small businesses. Look at what they can offer you. Maybe just a part-time thing, an hour a day doing this or that, and that's enough to get by. These are desperate times, and I understand people in their situation. Do what you can. So I guess I'm going to end the video right there. If you appreciated this message and the solutions and everything else, please hit that thumbs up button. Also, post your solutions down below when it comes to food. Of course, we've got to grow our own food if we can. We've got to grow sprouts in jars if we can. We've got to have all of our preparedness taken care of as best as we can right away. But there might be some other things out there that you know of. Put them down in the comments below. Let's get this conversation going, and more important right now than ever before.